Whether it's a local opinion or a national agenda, everything is fair game. Remember, everyone has an opinion, but only few can back it up. Now sit back, crank up the volume, and if you think you can handle it, get ready for the heat.
What is up, everybody? Tony Cotillo here, Heat Ratio Live, episode number 147, joined by Dan Green, Mikey Goose. We got little John and Dave are out tonight. I feel like this has been forever. Glad to be back. Got things rolling a little bit today on the Daily Ticket, on the Gambler. Had a nice little 20-minute segment. Got the energy flowing. Just want to say real fast to everybody, what I can say is the amount of support from everybody, absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, when you do this thing for as long as I've done it, or even if you're new, to see the amount of people that you reach is pretty phenomenal. I cannot even tell you the amount of instant messages I've received, the amount of DMs on Twitter I've received, Instagram messages, text messages from people I never even had a conversation with, just to reach out. It was absolutely extraordinary. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Life sucks sometimes. We deal with it. We roll with it. I got a tremendous a bunch of friends here that we do this Heat Ratio show with through the network. Guys stepping up, hosting shows they've never done before, doing descriptions for me, just acting like, everything just flowed. Even though I wasn't there, it was great. Just absolutely amazing. But, I was going to take another week off, but I said, you know what? I got to kind of get back into this because, when you deal with adversity, you deal with tragedy, you kind of just sit around and it kind of just gets into you. It fuels you a little bit, and then your mind starts to wander. So I'm like, you know what? Let's roll tonight. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I did watch the games this weekend, been catching up with some news, but we're going to get right into this. Again, thank you, everybody, as well. I hope everybody's staying safe. Hope everybody continues to be healthy, and we're going to roll on. So, Mike, Dan, listen, the Super Bowl is set. We'll talk about a little bit about that later, but unfortunately, I want to talk about the Phillies right off the bat. We're going to get to the Eagles coach search, but the big news in Philadelphia is JT Realmuto signing the highest AAV of any catcher in baseball. I did not see that this was going to happen. The feelings were that he was going to be gone. The Phillies were not going to pony up and pay this guy what he was worth. In my opinion, he's the single most important player on this team, not Bryce Harper. It is JT Realmuto. They got the job done. They still have a lot of work to do. But Dan, let me ask you, did you expect this deal to get done?
Initially, no. But it's been how long since he's been on the market? So of late, yes. And of late, I mean the past month or so. There's clearly been a collusion of sorts that's been happening. No one wants to spend money right now. And I guess if you consider he probably wanted $25 million per year to start, so now he gets $23 million. So I guess he can barely get into the same steakhouse as Bryce Harper now because of that. So I mean, listen, $23 million for 5 years isn't anything to sneeze at. But I knew they were going to sign him when all this time went by. Because why wouldn't you snatch him up almost immediately when he hit the market? If you're one of those teams that were really looking for a catcher. I mean, the Mets and other teams are filling up their roster fast or their needs fast. The Nationals and not the catcher. So I think he was overvaluing himself, unfortunately, in today's market.
Yeah, I mean, his agent wanted him to be, he adamantly said, not best catcher, but one of the top 5 or top 10 players in baseball.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Right? Right. Doesn't work that way.
Now, when you have knee issues in 3 or 4 years.
Right. But we've seen this before, right? So we've seen this before. Other players have tried to do the same kind of thing, and they've, dual positions. Listen, I want to be a player. Don't pigeonhole me into an actual position. But, I mean, this is a Dombrowski move. This is why the guy was brought here. It was interesting to me to see all the things that came out about the money issues. I mean, we've talked about this before on the show, with the Phillies being frauds and John Middleton kind of being a fraud. This, to me, was all Dombrowski. Was like, listen, this is the guy that we need. We're going to sign him, and we're going to continue to move on. And I think that's what happened. Now, they have a lot of different shoes to fill here. They still only have 2 pitchers in the rotation. They're still the 4th best team in the division, which is crazy to me if you think about it. But, we'll see what happens. But JT Realmuto, Mikey Googs, it had to happen, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it did. But I think you want to touch a little bit more on what Dan said. I mean, maybe the market was just a little bit soft. COVID, a lot of everybody's they don't know what to expect this year. Everybody's kind of dealing with an unprecedented situation. The Phillies have made it blatantly clear that they have cash flow problems. Middleton said that. We all destroyed Middleton, but if you look at that deal, Jason Stark reports that out of the $20 million salary, half of it is actually deferred. And there's no signing bonus, there's no options. It's an unusual contract structure. I dug into that a little bit, but it's, I didn't dig anything up. This is all public information, but apparently maybe the Phillies were like, look, we want to bring you in. We just don't want to strap ourselves because we don't know what's going on. We lost a crap ton of revenue right now. I mean, maybe work with us. And maybe the market just was a little bit soft. Whatever. They got the deal done, but like Dan said, I think he may have been overvaluing himself a little bit. But then again, who knows? We're just happy to have him. He couldn't have walked. If he would have walked, it would have been a catastrophe.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a catastrophe.
That couldn't happen. He couldn't have walked 100%.
Well, he could have. It looked like it was going to happen. We already counted the guy out. We destroyed the whole Phillies organization. We destroyed them for weeks. Stupid money, dumb, McClintock. We killed them all. But
we lucked out.
We did.
We got lucky.
And getting back to Tone's point with the Dombrowski is that he's an established guy that has relationships in this league. Clintack wouldn't have been able to probably develop a rapport with the agent the way Dombrowski probably did.
That's a good point.
And you can't undervalue the relationship he has with Harper and probably other teammates he's developed. He probably did want to stay here, and he knew he was going to get 20-something mil. I think he just wanted that magic number of 25, like a personal pride thing, and it just didn't happen.
Or it could have been the agent, right? The agent always rules, right? The agent's riding the ship. He's like, yo, you're getting.
He has other players he's representing too.
Yep. He's got to build up for everybody. Exactly. He's got to build up his reputation. You know that.
Correct.
Just remember, it's all the comps too, because there could have been other deals that he's trying to sign right now, and they're all pending on JT's deal. So it's a fine line he has to walk. Whatever he says, he basically needs it to come true to a certain extent. So yeah, that's a good point. The agent is somebody that we never really talk about with deals like this, and they're primarily responsible for all the drama that usually happens.
All the sports,
all the leaks, all the drama,
all comes from the agents.
Everything.
Next question. Yeah.
I just know, listen, we're all happy in Philadelphia, and literally, there's not even much more to say that, we know what they need to do. It's so early. We don't know what this season's going to, how it's going to work out. I know I don't know before we got on, I know they were close to signing Simmons. It was, him or Didi. They were back and forth as their shortstop. Even heard Freddie Galvis's name.
He signed with Baltimore, thank God.
Okay, thank you. I'm not ready for that move.
No.
Listen, the biggest thing with the Phillies is they have to start developing young talent again. And that's what got us into 2008, and that's what gave us our run. We were able to establish bullpen pieces and absolute franchised cornerstones with our farm system, which is something that we have to continue to do, something we haven't done well in many, many years. So that's the biggest thing with the Phillies. You can't buy everything. This isn't George Steinbrenner's Yankees. We're never going to be that team. We have to build from our farm. So, especially now, like Mike said about, we've talked about it, how much revenue, right? That they have lost over with this COVID. I mean, Rich, absolutely, farm system, young town. I mean, yes. Ed Wade. That's just Ed Wade. Absolutely.
We keep going back to Ed Wade. I always go back to Ed Wade.
Exactly. Al says, think what would have happened if he's like you said, if we signed somewhere else, we would have destroyed the bat. We would tore it down, man.
Destruction.
Tore it down.
But getting back to your minor league point, listen, Jalen Ortiz, Cornelius Randolph, Adam Hazley, Mickey Moniak, they're all busts. Hazley he's not a major league player. Moniak's not a major league player. I mean, when you draft that high, these guys have got to be potential all-stars when they make your roster. Hazley's barely a role player on this team. And and a lot of it going back to the agents, a lot of these players are drafted to avoid certain agents that you don't like to deal with when you draft a player. And that was the case with Moniak, and no one wanted to deal with Boris. No, but those are horrific drafts in the outfield.
You know, it's funny. I always laugh at that because nobody wanted to deal with Scott Boras in the NFL. Nobody wanted to deal with Drew Rosenhaus. But at the end of the day, they always get the best deal for their players. And you may not want to deal with them, but they wouldn't be around if they weren't good at what they do. And it's just amazing to me because it's like as soon as you see that player, he signed with Rosenhaus. Oh, boy, here we go, right? It's just like, David Conway checking in. What are some of the names that you would add to the bullpen? That's an interesting question. I said David. I'm sorry, Donald. Donald, listen, I'll tell you what. I'll ask you, Dan, because I know you're good with baseball, and I know. But I would actually bring Robertson back on a 1-year deal. I think David Robertson, he was a good signing. He just happened to get hurt. He wasn't old. He wasn't old, right? And he had what we needed. So why not take a flyer on him, right?
Yeah, he has to prove he's healthy.
Right.
I mean, you've got Osuna out there.
Yep.
Workman's out there. Even Ken Giles is available. I mean, you have you brought in. You brought in the I'm drawing a blank. Who they brought in this past week? The guy, the beard. Help me out, Mike.
Archie.
Help me out. Archie, Archie. I drew a blank.
Archie, come on, man, Archie.
I know, and he's got a great person. But he's actually a natural setup man. So if you bring Giles in and you can have him as your Archie could be your setup man, those are some of the names that I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, Al says, didn't they sound like two guys for the pen? One of them was Bradley. I mean, he was one of their big guys. He's one of their targets. That's who they wanted, But I would love to bring a guy like Osuna in. You can't because I mean you're going to rely on guys like Ranger Suarez.
No.
Right? I mean, Luis Garcia. These are the names that we've heard over the years. You can't. That's the problem. We have the farm system stinks so bad that we don't have those young guys come up and fill in like we have with guys like Madsen, right? We don't have that anymore, right? So it's going to be important. It's early. There's going to be guys that come out of nowhere. There will be a couple guys. I still would like to have Vinny V, in the bullpen, but not going to happen. Arbitration. He signed a 1-year deal. He is going to be a starter. I'm done with that experiment. Been done with that experiment, right?
It's horrible.
What would it cost to get Osuna in?
Probably $10 million, I think. What do you think, Dan?
I don't. Again, it depends on what. It depends on. Why is he still out there?
Yeah, I know. I know.
So I really don't. I mean, it's tough enough for stud position players to figure out what they're worth, but. A bullpen piece. You can't minimize the bullpen, but there's a ton of names that are available. So, if you were once getting, like one of the, and it's going to be a 1-year deal. So 1 year, 10 to 12, maybe this year it's 1 year, 8, who knows?
And Robert brings up a good point. Start a recap. Wheeler, Nola, and exactly. That's the problem. It's like we've talked about, and we're going to get to the Sixers, in a little bit. We talk about a big 3 on NBA teams. Well, you need a big 3 on your pitching staff, especially when you're going up against the Washington Nationals and the New York Mets. So right now, all you have is Wheeler and Nola. It's not good enough.
Eflin stepped up a little bit last year.
He's Vinny a star. Trash heap. Get a bag of balls in a trade. Exactly. I'm done with Vinny Velo. I'm done.
Yeah, no, I mean Eflin wasn't awful, but are you going to revisit? Right. Are you going to revisit? Revisiting Vinny's makes me sick right now as I'm thinking about it. And then is Eichhoff going to be back in the equation again? Oh. When's it going to end?
Yeah.
Like everyone was like they got hosed over the Pivetta trade. I look, get rid of Pivetta. One of the three clones is out of here. It was Pivetta, Eichhoff, Velasquez every single year.
We were getting force-fed Nick Pivetta down our throats.
Yeah.
Terrible. It was ridiculous. And he mounted to what? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But listen, the Phillies got JT. We're obviously going to touch on this in the coming weeks. The biggest thing is we got our guy. We have our two pieces. We need pitching. We need bullpen arms. It's going to be interesting. The good thing is I could say at least I'm comfortable. We still have Joe Girardi. He was the guy I wanted. He's the guy I trust in, and hopefully he can turn this thing around. Now, when we speak about coaches, let's get right into this Eagles because, again, I'm going to try to keep these topics nice and condensed, get my feet wet a little bit, get back into the action. But Nick Sirianni, and whether I said it right or not, I really don't care. I'm absolutely floored, shocked. Where this name come from? Listen, before they hired him, I swore this was Eric Bieniemy's job to lose. Only because they were interviewing a bunch of cats, doing all this due diligence. You knew they couldn't interview Bieniemy. I figured, you know what? They're waiting. It's going to be that Andy Reid, just like Doug. And then this guy comes out of nowhere, and boom, he's the head coach. He looked like this to me. I hope, honestly, I hope he works, but it feels like Chip Kelly all over again to me. And what I mean by that is I feel like Jeffrey Lurie, we talked about this on the show in his press conference, that elite offense. It was all about offense. Elite offense he wanted, right? So he's chasing a guy again that's trying to emulate a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. It's all he's doing. I don't know if this guy's it. I have no idea. He couldn't get Frank Reich, so we're now the Indianapolis Colts, right? I'm not sure, but here's what I will say. And Mike, tell me if you think this is right. So I for weeks have been on this show saying that Jalen Hurts was Doug's guy. I consistently had said that on this show, and I think that's what got Doug fired. I think Doug went into that office and he said, I want to roll with Jalen. I think we can build a team around Jalen Hurts, and we got to get rid of Carson Wentz. And that's what automatically showed him the door. And if you look at every move that has been calculated after Doug Peterson, it's all about Carson Wentz. To me, no other reason why Doug Peterson was fired. Zero reason, except he wanted to go with the wrong guy. Mike, what do you think of that theory?
You know what? You touched on a bunch of things, so let me address that with the first point. I think I don't disagree with you. It sounds like a very plausible theory that he stood up to Howie, and the power came out again, and then Howie, that's it. He flexed, and Doug was gone. I didn't think that Peterson was going to be around. I was very frustrated at Peterson. I think a lot of fans were this year. It was it was frustration. All we did was sit around and poke theories about what we thought was going to happen. We didn't really know who was driving the bus. We knew that Peterson got upended a couple of times, specifically with, the coaching staff that he picked, and then he found out that they weren't there. So we knew right then and there was a little bit of a crack in the armor, and we saw the actual struggle between what we thought was a struggle between Peterson and obviously the apparent meddling now of Jeffrey Lurie, which has never been a problem over the years, right? So for him to go in there and say that he wanted to roll with his plan and they fired him, they also did a PR spin, I noticed, the Eagles, saying that Doug wanted to elevate Press Taylor to offensive coordinator, and they fired him because of that. Now, if Doug Peterson came into my office and I'm Jeffrey Lurie, and he said that he wanted to promote Press Taylor to offensive coordinator, I would have fired him too. Yeah, exactly. Like we've gone over this guy a couple of times. This walking stiff, okay? Don't even get me started on this dude. So let's just hope and pray that Doug Peterson didn't really do that. Because if he did, he deserves to be fired. Because who would do that? Come on. I don't believe it. It looks like an Eagles PR spin there. But to go back on the coach that they selected, I know you said that you're shocked. And I'm going to bring up a point that you brought up in previous weeks when we discussed this. When I had thought that originally maybe Eric Bieniemy would have been the perfect candidate, I remember you pushed back on a theory and you said, listen, the Eagles may be a little upset with Andy Reid and may not lean on him because of the issue that happened with Doug Peterson. You know, Andy Reid was the guy that said, you got to hire Doug and, you know, Doug this and Doug that. And you thought maybe they would be a little bit sour. But if you really look at this move, it looks just like it has all of the Eagles' typical maneuvers on it, right? Because what did they do? They realized that they should not have let Frank Reich go, and now they're leaning on Reich for a vote of confidence, just like they leaned on Andy Reid for a vote of confidence. That just smells like the Eagles, and it just smells like Jeffrey Lurie, and it just smells like we're going to put a new guy in because Howie's got all the power, and he'll listen to Howie, and he will not go against me the way that Peterson did because all of a sudden Doug Peterson grew some balls. So I think it's the Eagles again trying to be the smartest guys in the room, and who knows? Maybe this guy will actually do something. I was when I really thought about it. I mean, I had said to my son, he sent me the link, and I just shook my head, and we just went on with our day. Why? Because that's just what the Eagles do. They do this dumb shit all the time. They're always smarter than everybody else in the room. And then we want to think that they are, but they're really not. They're not. So it's super, super frustrating. And now that I had just read some article about the offensive coordinator that just came over from the San Diego Chargers, and I read somewhere that the fans are actually relieved that this guy is gone. And I didn't know what he did. And then I remembered I dug into the dumb boneheaded play calls that he's made over the last couple of years in the postseason. And now we got this guy. Yep. Now we got two guys that we have absolutely nothing. We don't know anything about either one of them. And I don't feel that we've made any progress at all. I feel we've thrown a bunch of smoke now, and nobody can see through the smoke, and no one has any clear direction. That's what I think. It's super frustrating.
It's a great point. Getting some of the comments. Jim says, my buddy Jim, I love this comment. Great move by the franchise, giving Wentz whatever he wants and getting rid of everybody else who actually won the Super Bowl. Always smart to keep the uncoachable guy with no playoff win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jim, you should actually be the front line. You should be a manager for the Eagles. You should be up there in the corporate office. Absolutely.
I love it. Rich says, it's a young guy who Howie doesn't fear will want more control. It's a good point. We've talked about that, right? Hurts and having control of the coaching staff. Talking about Doug Peterson. All right. Now Donald says no one knew Andy Reid when he after being the Green Bay quarterback coach. Listen, I will completely. I'll give you that. That's
for
the
sure.
only right. That's the only
for sure.
That's the only saving grace we have. Right.
Well,
it's it.
So
right?
This guy might be good. He could be good, but why go with the could be? Why is it always a project or the new guy? Why?
Well, here's my issue, and Mike, I agree with everything you said. First of all, Doug, you know how I feel about. Okay, man. Okay,
that's it.
Like every time I talk, Tony laughs. I'm thinking, do I have a raisin in my tooth? What's going on here?
Wait.
No, I understand. I see it.
When you're done, we have a little episode.
We have a little back history on that one, Dan.
I saw the show.
Okay.
But Tony knows how I feel about Doug. I think 17 was an outlier. I think Doug's a dope. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that. I won't even go into detail. Here's my issue, and I don't want to sound like Mike Missinelli being Mr. Social Injustice guy, but I totally am disgusted with a league that's 70% African American. How you wouldn't even consider a Byron Leftwich of the world. You wouldn't consider a Bieniemy supposedly didn't want to even interview here. Getting back to what you said, that came out.
I didn't know that.
No, that came out
because he knows it's a shit show.
But Leftwich, I've always been impressed with, and I just feel teams need to start stepping up with filling the void of a lack of African Americans in important positions.
I don't agree with that.
It's been bothering me for a while, and you have some candidates. Even revisiting a Jim Caldwell, perhaps. But the other thing that
is it, you know what, Dan, not to cut, but that's a great point, because Jim Caldwell, as much as he always was prepared. That dude got one of the rawest deals ever. And how about Vance Joseph? Yep. Right? No, not Vance Joseph. Who was the head coach of the Cardinals before Kingsbury? He was fired for 1 year. 1 year.
Oh God, who was that guy?
He was literally.
Joseph was with the Broncos, right?
Yeah. Who was the coach? And again, they didn't even get, like, the team stunk. Wasn't even, like, he came and didn't even give him a chance. They fired, and then who did they hire? Cliff Kingsbury.
And I saw this. I think this guy was just recently hired as a coordinator. I'm absolutely drawing a blank. Hopefully, one of our viewers can type it in. But here's the other issue. When is Joseph, the guy that we're drawing a blank on, ever going to get a job again? They're not. And that's the other thing that appalls me with the NFL. You know, white coaches will get recycled. Some of them are. I mean, Dan Campbell. I don't even have to know anything about Dan Campbell other than 2 seconds of his press conference to know that he's going to be a putz with Detroit. I'm going to bite the left kneecap off and then the right. Are you kidding me?
Complete.
Are you kidding me? So, I mean, you know, you're hiring people like that, the good old boy network, and you're not giving the Byron Leftwiches of the world a chance. And the enemy, you know, is, you know, and the NFL, if you really want to promote the Art Rooney rule and really make change, stop with the you can't interview until after the Super Bowl bullshit.
I hate that rule.
Because now you're hamstringing coaches that have the qualifications. And in this case, you got two guys that are African American and are in the Super Bowl. So people are nervous. We got to fill our coaching position, because what if we can't get those guys? Then what? So maybe that's a little reason why people jump the gun. And finally, getting back to Sirianni, Mikey's right. He is there to placate the front office, plain and simple. But here's where I pray to God the guy grows some and throws a curveball at them. What are they going to – I said this on the last show I was on. What are they going to do? Fire the guy after week 3 if he says, forget it, Howie. I'm not dressing your guy. I'm dressing the guys that have earned a spot in practice. These are the guys who are playing. What are you going to do? Fire me? And they're going to go through another coaching shit show so fast? They could, but I would play Russian roulette if this guy really feels like he's making some endways with the team. They're doing stuff in practice. He likes what he sees, and then Howie says you got to dress this guy over a guy that Sirianni wants to play. So that's yeah. Yeah, I doubt it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I doubt it's going to happen. But that's where you almost have to do a reverse position of strength type of thing. You know, yeah, they got a greenhorn coach, but this guy's got to have the mentality. They can't go through another public relations nightmare and fire me after this season, or obviously they're not going to fire me mid-season. So, you know, grow some. I hope that's what happens. Obviously we don't want a puppet as a coach. If Mike, you're right that they're trying to target the next McVay, the next Lincoln, you know, the next Riley, fine. If they accidentally hit a home run with that, God bless.
Dude, that Rooney rule is a friggin' joke.
It is.
We all know it's a joke. They're just throwing people up there
to
satisfy the requirement. It's a complete crap. Okay, because if the best guy got the job, then they would get the job. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Lurie's been a pretty progressive owner. We know that. All right, I don't want to dog him and
Ray Rhodes. That's all. That was his first and last.
Yeah, but Lurie's done other things too, man. You gotta. Let's call it. Let's just call it up.
Yeah,
he's been.
He gave Mike Vick a chance. I get all that.
You know, I don't want to go too far down the political route, but I agree with you to a certain extent. You know,
if candidates are equally skilled,
but they're not equally judged, and we all know that. Crap.
No, I don't mean judged, but I'm saying if they have equal resumes, why not do the right thing? Is my point. Byron Leftwich is a good candidate.
When Deuce left, everybody was like, "Well, how come Deuce didn't get a shot? How come Deuce didn't get a shot? How come?"
I had no problem with Deuce not getting hired, to be honest with you.
Well, nobody else gave him a shot. Maybe he just wasn't. Maybe he just didn't have his shit together. I mean, we don't know.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because that was my next point about Deuce. Like, I love Deuce. I do. I love Deuce.
But you love him because you're a fan of the Eagles, man. We all do.
We like the man.
How many interviews did he get?
Right.
And that's no disrespect against Deuce, but, he did turn down the offensive coordinator position in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right. I remember
Right?
that.
Because he didn't want the responsibility of calling plays, correct?
Right, but usually that is an outlier of getting promoted to be a head coach.
So that's not the guy that you want for the job. It says, I don't want the responsibility for calling plays. Forget it. Whatever. The point is this, and I agree with you. Both made excellent points, but I think we can all agree on this. The Eagles pulled another Eagles move. And now we're all frustrated and scratching our head. And they just did the Eagles thing again. And as long as Jeffrey Lurie, Coach Dave, this is for you, buddy. As long as Jeffrey Lurie owns this team, okay, he's going to have his little minion there, Howie, and they're going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's the bottom line. And we're just going to sit around and wait for something to happen. And you know what? Maybe it's just a laughing joke in the league. Maybe everybody knows, you know what, Nick? Just go to the Eagles. You're going to make a couple $1 million. You're going to get some experience. Just take the paycheck. And maybe he's just going to get in front of the podium and he's going to say, I gotta put people in better positions to make plays. All this vanilla shit comes out. Les Bowen attacking everybody. No one knowing everything. Everybody's all pissed off. Marcus Hayes writing bomb pieces one right after the next. You think any of this is going to stop? This is just a 3-year extension of what we've been dealing with. That's all it is.
You're spot on, man. Listen, Jeff stood up there and said 3 to 4 to 5 years. That's what he said.
He talks in circles. He talks in circles, though. Seriously.
Yeah, but think about it. This team has a ton of work to do. If people think we're going to come in here next year, no matter who the freaking coach is, and we're going to compete for the playoffs, you're an idiot. You're sadly mistaken. It's not going to happen.
Look at the cap. The cap's a catastrophe.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely. I know this is way far-fetched. I seen a piece today on SI that actually had somebody saying that the Eagles wind up trading both quarterbacks and drafting Justin Fields at number 6. I mean,
it sounds like clickbait to me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm but my point is, for people to even write that kind of subject line shows you how much of a mess this organization is right now.
It's a complete
right?
mess.
We're giving them. We are definitely giving them the ammunition, or they're giving us the ammo in order to fire back.
Well, Jamar thinks I should be the GM of the Eagles. I don't know how long I would last there because I don't think me and Mr. Lurie would get along very well.
Andre, Coach Dave would like this because he hates Lurie. Andre says it all starts with Jeff Lurie has separated his personal life and political affiliations with what his team needs. The NFL has always been about the shield. The same shield that they praise is the same shield that hide things behind. Listen,
well put.
Absolutely.
They hide behind the billions that they're raking in, man. That's just what it is.
Yep. Al checking in. And again, a very fluid subject. 32 teams, 4 head coaches of color, 2 African-American, 1 GM, 0 owners. It's no joke, man.
3 GMs, but it's still bad.
Right. Well, here's the funny thing. It always brings you back to, I don't know how many of you guys watch Ballers, right? But it was like,
yeah, and they yanked it. It was great until they pulled it off the air.
Great. And you're watching The Rock, right? And they're all looking at him like, Spencer Stroud, you can't be an owner. You can't own a team. Right. But you know what? If that was that idiot, what was his partner? I forget what the bald white dude. I forget what his partner was. But if he would have walked into that room, it would have been like, oh, yeah, come on in. Like, right here. It's just.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean Ballers. Not Ballers, The Rock. What's the other one that was on HBO that they yanked after a season?
That was Playmakers.
Sorry, I got them confused.
I want to show the dark side of the NFL.
Yeah, that didn't last long.
Al's checking in. He's right. Phillies didn't get Simmons. He just signed a 1-year, $10.5 million deal with the Twins.
All right, DD, you're coming back.
So it looks like
choice.
He's the only one left.
No choice.
So Donald was asked if this is a complete rebuild, who are the guys that are going to move on from?
Good question.
It's a really good question because, listen, this offensive line, we have to really. I'll tell you what, I'm a little worried and concerned when I hear my franchise starting right tackle has a shattered leg. I mean, shattered. Wasn't broken. They said his ankle was destroyed. That concerns me a little bit because
that's a heavy choice of words.
Right.
Duct tape.
Right, exactly. I mean, it wasn't separate; it was destroyed. So, I mean, that's a big problem. Brandon Brooks, I love the guy. He's come back from, but how much can a body really take? Jason Kelsey, does he come back for one more year? I don't know. You still got a left tackle problem, right? So we have a major offensive line problem. We have
about to cry.
Defensive line problem.
That's very sad.
Right?
I got great.
I would move on. I would try to parlay Fletcher Cox into assets. To be honest with you,
yes.
It's time to move on from him as well.
Now, I don't know what his cap hit is. I'd have to look that up. But I do know they restructured his deal a couple years ago. So, I think he could bring you back something of value.
Absolutely.
Zach Ertz, we already know, is gone. I mean, you think about who you're moving ahead with. Right? Think about that. Think about on this team. Rodney McLeod tore his ACL. He's 33 years old. I don't know if he's coming back. Right?
Okay, so even if you were to get value for any of these guys that we talked about, all right, let's just imagine that there's some sort of equitable value for any of the players that both of you just mentioned.
Who's
and
making
you just you stock up and you get draft capital, right? And then you got Howie Roseman in the draft.
Yeah.
So is there a trajectory to any type of plan right now with the same people calling the same shots? All they did was bring in window dressing.
Fix Carson. That's the deal.
It's because you have a guy that's in charge of the quote rebuild that caused the rebuild.
Okay, so even if they can fix Carson, I'm not saying they can. That is a tall order to fix Carson Wentz, especially what we saw. But we have to trust that these people are football people and they know a shitload more than we do, right? So we just have to trust that. Is he fixable?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Mike, you brought up weeks ago, and I hate to keep, but there's a couple names, what people brought up: Brock Osweiler, Blake Bortles, dudes who had like really, really good year, and then boom.
No, Osweiler was never good.
Right? He did have he was okay. He was serviceable for the 1 year. He was, man.
He was never approached what Carson did in 2017.
Well, no, not. But what I'm saying,
I know where you're going. I know where you're going. Guys that just never could recapture anything. They couldn't recapture anything they once did. I got you.
Blake Bortles, fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, though,
he was in the fourth quarter
game or AFC Championship game against the Patriots, he was one throw away from the Super Bowl, man. That one throw, I can't remember what receiver it was, went right through. He just sailed a little bit. That was the game, man. That was it. They were going to the Super Bowl. Yep. So it's crazy, man.
Go back to the original point, though. What guys do they have to move on from? Who's left? I don't know what they're thinking, but I think that we'll probably agree, and not just us three here, but I think the majority of the fan base will agree that nobody really has any confidence in what they're doing. And the moves that they made right now doesn't instill any confidence at all. No. So we're like stuck. It was a depressing year last year. I mean, I couldn't even watch the last couple of games. And maybe this coaching staff will be great. I mean, I don't want to just give them crap. I mean, yeah, we'll have to give them a fair shot, right? But for them to say that they're just going to come back and make Wentz 2017 Wentz, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But you know what? If this turns out to be a complete flop, nobody's going to be surprised at that either. I hate to sound so cynical.
No. I that's totally viable. But what perplexes me is you hire a 39-year-old coach who hires a 35-year-old OC,
right,
and another young defensive coordinator.
Okay,
at least bring in Lovie Smith or somebody like that to be your defensive coordinator. And what kind of fan base are we? We're so sick of Jim Schwartz's bend but don't break, the fence. The 4th and 11, everyone's at the 11-yard point defense, and then the guy gets 13 yards anyway.
Stick defense,
the picket fence defense, whatever you want to call it. The Colts had the second fewest blitzes in the NFL last year.
Right.
So where's this guy getting his defensive scheme from? The Colts. We're an aggressive base. You remember when we had Emmett Thomas as a bend but don't break coordinator for Ray Rhodes? I couldn't stand it. And then thank God we got Jim Johnson, and we were spoiled for years.
Yep.
But we need aggression in this town, and the lack of blitzing and our vaunted defensitive line. They have games where it's like they're invisible. All the money they make.
Jim Johnson bailed out Andy Reid for a decade, and the fact that he's going back to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, such a bad taste in my mouth because you just brought up a great point. Jim Johnson's forgotten about. Don't get me wrong. Andy Reid learned a lot, but he learned a lot on our time. The time was definitely ours when he was here. And now to see him go back to the Super Bowl again.
He did not have the he might have been a better coach with his weapons are insane.
But
and he's willing to and he's got his hands in the player personnel angle, and he's willing to go after people of not the greatest character. He drafted Hunt, who's now with Cleveland, who didn't have great character. Tyreek Hill dropped because of his character. So
the problem is, though, it's exactly what you said. I mentioned this earlier. The problem is you have Sirianni who's hiring his friends. That's what he's doing. Now, hiring your friends doesn't always equal to success, right? Doesn't always equate to success. And that's one of the biggest issues. Now, if you look at this weekend, I heard Jim Johnson's name mentioned various times because we were watching Sean McDermott coach. Okay. And who did Sean McDermott bring in? A guy named Leslie Frazier. So Sean McDermott, a young guy, brings in a seasoned vet who has head coaching experience and league experience, right? Who is Sirianni bringing in? And I don't think it's a secret that Deuce leaves right away. Dave Phipp, the special teams coordinator, leaves right away. Like, not because they just were like, I'm out, done. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. They're just starting fresh. I don't know. But even guys like Kyle Shanahan have very veteran leaders on their team. McVay has veteran leader coaches on his team.
Of course. His first hire was Wade Phillips.
Exactly. Back in the day. I was just getting it. Exactly.
Sorry, Tom.
No, but I'm glad you said that because you're exactly right. Wade, that's another name. I want to do a show just on defensive coordinators because Wade Phillips never, ever, ever gets enough credit for he was unbelievable. He gets a bad deal because he didn't fare too well as a head coach. But we know a lot of guys that do that. But Wade Phillips, wow. I'll tell you, man.
It takes a lot to be able to lead a team of young men, especially guys that are, like we said this a million times, multimillionaires, that have just had, they've been the top of their game since grade school, high school, all of them, when all those egos clash, to get them all united to do the same thing is not an easy thing. That's why a lot of these guys, they try head coaching, some make it. Some just regress back to what they were really good at. And Wade Phillips is a perfect example of that. But even to touch further on the point, when you bring in a bunch of 35-year-old guys that are all friends and you're expecting them to provide leadership in a situation that they've really never dealt with before, having that total control, that really could take a left turn really, really quick. And if it does that, then it's going to go right back to what Dan said. What are you going to have, a situation where you're going to start firing coaches after a year? I really think, Tone, and we've talked about this before, I think it's well known in the league that the Eagles are the most, if not the most dysfunctional club in the National Football League. And they're just sending coaches over here to collect checks, just like the Raiders were for a decade and a half. It's like we've turned into the Raiders.
It's sad,
it's man. Super, super frustrating. Now, again, watch them win the Super Bowl, and I look like a complete idiot.
But right now, we just have no idea where this is headed.
It just looks weird.
It's funny. The one coach that I was actually hoping would stayed, Jeff Stoutland.
Yes.
At one point, Dave Phipp was a dynamite special teams coach, but they haven't done anything in quite a few years. So I'm not sad to see him go. And all these coaches went to Detroit. So we're the Philadelphia Colts, and they're the Detroit Eagles right now.
That's a good point. Well, here's the thing about Phipp, though. I don't blame Phipp because, I've said this before. Your special teams are only good as the guys you draft because normally the talent that you draft, it always goes to special teams. And if the drafting sucks, the special team sucks. Because listen, and again, just signing guys. I watched what team. I forget what team it was. Help me out. But Tavon Austin is returning kicks for somebody in the playoffs. What team? But I was
Packers, right?
Yeah, I'm like, it wasn't the Packers. But my point is, it's like, wait a minute. There's a guy who we heard on the rant was going to be this electric receiver. Never kind of panned out, but we knew he did one thing good. Whatever happened about signing guys like that to be like, your specialty guy? We just got away from that stuff, man. We just completely got away from.
Oh, wait, man. That's why they drafted Rager. He's great at special teams, returning punts. He was great at that.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
It was at Green Bay, Dan. It was Green Bay. But yeah, don't even get me started about that because I heard somebody talk about how Sirianni, supposedly what sold the Eagles was he talked Reagor up so much, for Jalen Reagor and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So, and JT Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why he came here. The deciding factor was to go, somewhere else or just come to the Eagles because of JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
He said,
sure.
Exactly. He said, supposedly he said, he looked at it and he said, listen, Dallas Goedert is a strong tight end, kind of like what we had on the Colts. He compared Reagor to T.Y. Hilton. Come on, dude, give me a break. He compared Arcega-Whiteside to Zach Pascal. Give me a break. Come on, man. Like supposedly he came in and he wowed him.
What else is he going to say? They're dangling millions of dollars in front of him. He's going to say whatever. He's going to take his check and go. I mean, I hope that's not the case. And I hope he really does something here. And it's possible he might. I just don't want to be so sour on him. It has nothing against him personally. It's just we weren't expecting that. We were expecting something else. And
you said Mike, you said it best. His first obstacle is to be a leader of men. If he at least does that, our offensive scheme cannot be any more vanilla than it has been the past 3 years. It can't be. So from that perspective, it's got to get better. It has to.
It's a good point.
You're right.
If just become a leader of men, gain confidence in the locker room, and then let's take it from there.
If Rich says press hard to be that cashier. Burger King's going to live for infamy in the heat ratio. Let me just tell you something. Let's get there. We're about 45 minutes in. I'm going to go about 15 more minutes because we're going to talk about why Ben Simmons is the problem and will continue to be a problem for the Philadelphia 76ers. I know my boy Al and Andre are cringing right now. But let me get to the little Jigsaw Chronicles for a second because we talk because again, even though before I dealt with my mother-in-law's death and all that kind of thing, we were doing some running around, and one of the things that I love about the way we've transformed into COVID is some things have become much easier in the past. Like, I do curbside pickup at Best Buy, which is a great thing. I hate Best Buy. They always have one cashier. Nobody's in there working. You're going to wait in line forever to buy.
They never have anything in stock. They're always out of it. They have nothing in there.
It's ridiculous. It's
like Lowe's and Home Depot, too.
But here's the deal about curbside. And this is what I want to bring up.
Burger King curbside?
Violation. Tremendous. Okay. So, when I do curbside, I'm reading it says, you have a number. So text when you're there. So you pull in, spot number 8. You hit the thing. I'm in spot number 8. They give you a number. Now I try to be, mannerly. Listen, it's COVID. So people are coming out. It says open, down your window, your back. I put a mask on because I don't want to people feel uncomfortable, even though I'm in my car, right?
Okay.
So come over and I show them the number. They drop the thing. Cool, but dude, I got an iPad and an iPad case. Like you can hand it, in their hands. So here's this schmuck next to me, right? I'm watching him. First of all, tremendous violation. Like 40-year-old dude all by himself in a minivan. First of all, when I don't see no baby seats, no nothing. Already first violation.
Yeah, to attack the minivan.
Yeah, I did. So second of all, and here's why. This dude pissed me off so much. I wanted to get out and say something.
I can see that.
I'm watching this cat. I'm watching this girl. Probably couldn't have been 17 years old. Comes out with a cart. She's got a 50-inch TV. Right? And a surround sound system.
Okay.
This dude
is
on his phone, doesn't move, opens the slider with the electronic opener from the minivan. This chick is struggling, trying to throw this TV. He's not even moving. Doesn't do anything. Just sitting there like a putz. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. Like this, number one, she's crushing your shit. Crushing it. Like that TV's definitely not working. Number two, you don't even put the seats down. And you don't even open the lift gate up.
And she's just trying to jam it in there.
Oh, yeah, dude, she was hammering that
She's
thing.
jamming the TV in the side door.
Yes.
So she had to go in sort of like an angle to get it in between the chairs, right?
Not even the back. Couldn't even slide it on the side.
She's pushing it in there, and he's not. What's he on? He's on his phone. He's not even paying attention.
Scrolling through Facebook feed.
Oh, okay.
Not even making eye contact with her. I'm like, wait a minute.
And you're behind watching this whole thing.
I'm right next to him. He was a car right next to me.
Oh, then I hope his TV broke.
That's what I said. I'm like,
and he's probably borrowing his neighbor's minivan, hence the reason all that stuff he's putting in the vehicle.
It's absolutely crazy. Like, how ignorant can you be?
Yeah, open up the back, put the seat down, load the TV in, game over.
Yeah.
And I get it, it's COVID. It's fine. Listen, they give you an email that say, hey, your order's on its way out. Get out of your car. Open this shit up and get it ready then if you don't want to make contact. And say, hey, just leave it right there. I'll get it. What's the big deal?
What happened at the end? Did she get the TV in and he left, or did he tip her? Or what? Did he throw her some money?
She had my order. I was the next one, so I had to wait.
Okay.
He just hit the door and took and like spun wheels in a minivan too. Come on, bro. What are you doing?
So no tip, nothing. You didn't give her a tip at anything. That's terrible.
You know, I was so infuriated. And then, not to mention, I was going to say this for next week, but not to mention, I go across the street back to Staples because I forgot. I like live in Staples, so I get in there. This is comical to me. I get up in line. I'm getting a couple things, and I have a coupon, $10 off 100. Okay, I spend like $110. So I get up there. Dude scans a coupon. He says, "Sir, since you spent over $100, you get 2 free sanitizers. Would you like them?" I'm like,
nice.
Okay, whatever,
sure.
you know, right?
Yep.
So he rings it up. He scans the sanitizers. They ring up. $8 a piece, right? $16, and then he puts a code in for a coupon.
Okay.
It takes off 14 cents. So So he says, "Yeah, sir, it's $116.99." I was like, "I thought I got the sanitizers for free." He's like, "Oh, you did?" I said, "No, dude, it says 14 cents." Oh. He's like, "Hold on for a second." So then he's trying to scan them again, right? I already know it's going to be a shit show. I'm like, "Dude, don't even worry about sanitizers. I don't need them." Right? You said you offered them. I don't need them. Right? So he's like, "No, I want to make it work." So now I'm sitting here like an idiot, waiting. Now we get the can I get a manager at counter? I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Just tell him, take the stupid sanitizers off. Just and let me leave. I don't want them now.
It gets better. So dude comes over and he says, did you use a coupon?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's why." I said, "Okay." So now they take my coupon off, right? And then they scan the sanitizers. Go, "There you go, sir. It worked." I said, "Hold on." I said, "I want my $10. Why the hell would I take my $10 back to get 2 freaking sanitizers? Now I paid $2 more than the $8 it would have cost me. And am I the idiot here? Like, I should be working a freaking register." And the guy's looking at me. He's like, "I think you're right." I know I'm right. Let's just get my freaking coupon so I get the hell out of here. Like, I'm like, this is why I can't stand going to stores.
All right, let me just touch on that. Let me just say, if I never went to a store again in my life, it wouldn't bother me. I think COVID is the perfect environment for me because I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. I can't stand going any. As far as I'm concerned, every retail store can be completely closed. They can deliver all the shit to your house. I never have to go. Like at a store like Staples, I used to love going into Staples because Staples was unique. It had all the computer shit. It had everything that you want, furniture, all your supplies and everything. Now when I go into a Staples or an Office Depot, first of all, nobody's working in there. They never have anything that I need. It's like, oh, I don't want to wait for Amazon to drop it the next day or two. So I'll just go pick it up at Home Depot or Lowe's or Office Depot or Office. Nobody ever has anything. They're always out. I can't stand stores. They're a complete waste of time. And anytime you go in, there's always some kind of a problem. There's too much friction in the store. Too much. It's just it's no more stores.
You always get in the wrong line.
Always in the wrong line.
Or the person you're in a short line, but the person who's at the register is insisting on a manager. They're a coupon issue or something.
And you thought about what line to go in, Dan. You thought, you're like, I'm going to jump in this line because you always pick the wrong one. So it's either I can't pick the line or there's a problem in every line.
Yep. You look and you're like, all right, that person has a couple items. This one's got 7. I'm gonna go, but no, the couple that one of them's getting returned. So now we gotta wait for a manager. Now, can we get a price check? Like you don't know you sell like 10 things and you don't know the prices. Like I don't understand. Like
it's funny because it's like on both opposite ends of the spectrum. It's either we get this experience or you walk into a store and 50 people come up to you at once saying, "Can I help you?"
Oh,
can I help you? Yeah. I'll let you know. Can I help you? You find everything you need. You find everything you need. You find everything you need. You find everything. No. You know, there's times I just left the car, just left the shit there and just left. I can't deal with it anymore.
I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing. Like I've always said, like when especially, I know it's a little over Staples, but if I'm going to buy furniture or a car, the first guy, I get it. They want to greet, they get the commission. Hi, sir, how you doing? And I always tell them, listen, if you follow me around, I'm out. All right, I will come find. You don't need to be lurking behind the signs. You don't
hiding, like looking,
right,
and exactly.
And then when you make the eye contact, it's a little awkward. Like, oh shit, he see me. Like, nah, dude, I get it. You're fine. Like, if I want you, I will come get you. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Come on. Like,
are you finding everything you need, and you just look at them, and you don't have anything in your hand, and you've been walking around for 20 minutes, and you're like, you know what I say to them? No, no, I'm not.
Oh man.
Well, did you need help? No, I'll find it.
No. Rick says went from
Sorry,
Rick, to a bunch of old ladies talking.
Thanks for bringing us back to baseline.
Hey, you're right, Rick. You're right. But sometimes you gotta let it go, Rick. You gotta let it go, man. I know you don't go to many stores. I get it, but when you do, you gotta let it go. But
no, Rick's right. What are we doing?
One thing I'm not letting go is Ben Simmons. And we're going to end on this because I seen it again, and I wish I had time because I would have put the video on here for my man Andre and my man Al, because if I see Ben Simmons one more time dribble down a lane, turn his friggin' back, and stand like a stiff, like you yell at your kids in grade school not to do, I'm going to lose it. Like, again, how many times do we have to see this to understand How many times? All right, we're going to reinvent the wheel. They're 0-4 without Joel Embiid. Why is that? Because Ben Simmons cannot carry a team. He's number two that he's not going to change. He's not changing.
Nope.
What he said the other day. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. All right, Ben, great job. Yeah, that works. That works, Ben. You sound like an idiot.
But he doesn't.
Right?
He doesn't, Tony. He doesn't care.
Right. I know he doesn't. He doesn't.
He's totally being honest. He doesn't care.
And you can't blame Toby as being the weak cog of the big three, because he's had a solid year.
He had.
Yeah, that's another good point.
But hey, let me ask you, where was Ben last night for the post-game press conference? Oh, Ben didn't want to show up. Ben was having a bad night. Again, 4 fouls early, undisciplined play. Thanks, Ben, for the 10 points. Where's all my triple-double people? Ben's got a triple-double. Oh, it's great. We lost the friggin' Pistons. We lost to the Pistons.
Just say that again. We lost to the Pistons.
Come on, man. This is getting ridiculous now. Ridiculous. I'm tired of it.
Are you surprised? Are you really surprised? No, look at Ben Simmons' Instagram. We've gone over this before. I've talked about this before. The guy totally fell in love with celebrity culture. As soon as he went down the whole Kardashian highway, that was it. It was over for the guy. The guy's head somewhere else. His Instagram all day long is with celebrities. It's with these people. It's with this guy is more all about the limelight. And if he was more focused on his game and maybe focused on maybe being a leader, that what they're paying him to be, he could have been something really good because he had all this unbelievable talent. It's just dude's got something up in his head, man. Anybody that can fire threes like that in practice but won't fire a shot during a game, that's all I had to see. What star basketball player can't shoot the ball? Stop making excuses for this guy.
What does Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, and Jaylen Brown all have in common?
A high shooting percentage.
And how did they come into the league?
Oh, they were not very good.
They couldn't hit the ocean from the side of a boat.
It just bothers me. I'm too old school, man. But he sounds like he's working on it, or if he is, he still won't show what he's done.
Well, the ultimate issue is for the people that support him, the ultimate issue is playoff basketball, unlike any other sport, is totally different than a regular season, and that's when it's going to crush us again.
Yep.
It's like the wall develops. I went to a game that wasn't even the playoffs, when fans actually could go to games. And late in the game, he was hiding behind his teammates. He didn't want the ball. He didn't want to go to the foul line. He didn't want – I'm actually a Ben Simmons defender in a lot of ways because there's so much that I like in his game other than his inability to shoot or want to drive, and he's a bad finisher for being 6'10" at times. But the playoffs is a totally different animal, and that's where it's all going to be revisited over and over again. And that's the concern I have.
At least they're trying, man. The owners are trying. They're trying to do stuff. The changes that they've made, I think maybe you'll see in 2 or 3 years, but you won't see them right away. And I just don't think this is the kind of guy. If Doc Rivers can't get it done with him, dude, cut losses and just dump him, man. Just go.
Let me just tell you, there's 2 names that are you're gonna irk the day, and that's Kawhi Leonard and that's James Harden, because both of those guys would have been available if you decided to give up Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons, the deal wasn't hindered on Ben Simmons. It was hindered on a lot of other draft capital. And from what I understand, the reason why is, number one, the Houston owner did not want to deal with Daryl Morey and made it, a bigger issue to try to trade him. But I think a lot of people are starting to understand that Ben's value isn't as high as we all thought it was, because other teams say the same deficiencies with Ben Simmons. Think about it this way. This is what I want to say. Think about, because I used to have this argument, and we'll end on this because I'm curious to see what you guys think. My argument always was each team has a big 3. And if you take, right, and so you look at this team, and our big 3 is Ben Simmons, Joel, and Tobias. It's not good enough, right? So I always say, look at the other big 3s. But how about we do this differently? Do me a favor. Look at a team, like, say the Lakers, okay? If you took LeBron, I won't say that because it's hard to say LeBron, obviously. If you took Anthony Davis off the Lakers and inserted Ben Simmons, are they better or worse? If you took James Harden off the Brooklyn Nets and inserted Ben Simmons, are they better or worse? Think about it. If you took CJ McCollum off the Portland Trailblazers and put Ben Simmons on Portland, are they better? He makes nobody better.
You know what, though, Tone?
Right?
I don't completely agree with that.
Because
you have. I'm not. Listen, I understand your point, but you gave examples of teams that have killer shooters and closers.
Okay.
So Ben, we need a closer on this team, but I'm saying the examples you gave, you have Lillard, who's closing out the games. Ben can just be a shutdown defender for them. Who else did you mention?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. You have Kyrie and Durant. They're going to close out the game. They're going to do the clutch time shooting. So Ben serves a purpose on that team.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is we also have a closer. Our closer is Joel Embiid. But the problem, we don't have 2 closers.
Is he really a closer?
No, he's not a closer, Tone. You need a sniper. You need a sniper from the outside to be.
He's as close to a closer that we have. I mean, for sure.
God bless him. He's had a great year so far, but he still gets trapped, triple teamed.
And when he does, what happens?
He's got no one to kick it out to.
Yep.
I agree with what you're saying, Tone. If you do, and if none of those teams are better if you put him in there, I don't think. But yeah, I mean. Will he lock somebody down and just hide in the shadows and be that guy and get in his comfort zone? Yeah, I just think when you try to make him something that he's not, it doesn't work very well, and he just I don't know. I understand everybody's why they support him. I understand the great things that he has about his game. He just feels like he would be a pretty amazing piece if the whole wheel was complete, and it's just incomplete. It's incomplete the way that it is. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
A bad example, I guess, that I'm about to throw at you is Andre Iguodala. He was not a premier guy with the Sixers, but he was a piece on another team that was a hell of a piece. A guy that was a great defender, a great role player. So Ben, I think part of our issue is that Ben's on a mega contract and he's just an incomplete player.
Yeah.
But I go back, some of the examples you gave, Tone, he's not better than the players that you substituted him for, but he actually does fill a need for those teams as an elite defender, a great rebounder with those teams with great shooters.
You have a point there, and I completely agree. But
but on this team, no.
What I will say is I'm tired of hearing the Magic Johnson talk, and the reason why I'll say that is, well, remember, that's what everybody will say. Well, listen, Magic this, Magic. I haven't seen anybody pass balls as Magic. Magic, he didn't have a shot in the beginning either. Did we forget who played with Magic Johnson? Like, seriously, if Magic Johnson had to lead that entire team and there was no Kareem and there was no James Worthy, there was no AC Green, there was no Byron Scott, there was no Michael Cooper, are you kidding me? Stop with the Magic Johnson talk.
Yeah, it's a good point. Everybody forgets about not the role players, but the other pieces to the machine. Everybody forgets about those.
Exactly.
But would Jordan have been Jordan if he didn't have his pieces to the machine? I mean, it's a question that I guess you can ask of any player.
The only thing with Jordan, though, is you knew Jordan was like Kobe, right? Jordan, they could just take over games by themselves. If Kobe had to drop 70, Jordan dropped 63, as a rookie against Boston. Like, if he had to do it. I mean, Christ, his number 2 was Brad freaking Sellers at
crazy.
that time. Like, that stunk. Right? It was terrible.
Crazy.
No, you Orlando Woolridge, knock it off.
Orlando Woolridge. Wow. Now talk about we should do a basketball stiff list. He'd be the top 5.
But the guys you mentioned worked at their craft, and that's the issue we ultimately have. We don't have a guy that's taking 1,000 jump shots a day.
And Ben Simmons could hide in. You said he can hide. You're right. Not hide, but maybe blend in to do what he does, and he just can't do it here because there's too many holes. That's it.
Correct.
Andre says, first of all, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Tony. Stop the Magic talk. Now,
Stop the Magic.
It's true. I mean, you got to think about it that way. Honestly, you have to think about it that way. Rich says Ben was a number 1 pick and a max player. That's the problem. Like you said, Dan, was called to be the next LeBron or Magic. I mean, exactly. Listen, I say this, we died for our sins is what they say. We tanked, right? We took all those stiffs as a player. I mean, this goes back like to pre-AI. Okay, when we had the bad ball after the Barkley trade and Johnny Davis was a head coach. I mean, all the years that we dealt with trash and garbage. Tony Snell, Tony Roten. Right? Tony Roten. Are you kidding?
Lefty.
Tony Roten.
Explosive lefty, Tone. Explosive lefty.
Yeah. Arm in the hammer Gilliam. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, like
the hammer.
Right? Right. The hammer. The hammer.
I love that.
Yeah, right. So, and that's the thing. Like, we were sold our number 1 pick. Here he is. The next LeBron. Like Rich says, no. He's never going to be that. Dan, you made a great point about Andre Iguodala because I feel like, again, he was given max money because we had to at that time. And he was never a max player. No. He couldn't shoot. Andre Iguodala couldn't shoot. But all he needed to do was score. And I say that about Ben all the time, but now Ben can't even do that. That's the problem. That is the biggest problem. I know Bill checks in, says if he would shoot a mid-range shot, would have a lot less light on his game. We would have to develop Shaky and Maxey and less with Ben. Listen, the problem is now what's happening, now Maxey's getting exposed as a rookie. He's hitting that rookie wall. We see that, right? He'll get beyond that. But the problem is now we're relying on Shake and Maxey to be way more than they should be. And that's the problem when you have a number 2 guy who can't hold his own. And that's a major deal. But I'm telling you right now, I cannot believe that this isn't happening. That Daryl Morey is not saying to himself, man, you know what? I know I talked about we can win with Ben, but after watching this, we can't. We need to make a move. Daryl Morey is a very smart basketball mind, and he sees exactly what we're talking about. And if there's a deal to be made for Ben Simmons, it will be made. And he will no longer be a Sixer. And you know what? For all the people that are going to say, here we go. Just let's run Ben Simmons out of town. Let's run him out of town like we do everybody. You got to watch. Listen, do you want to win in a regular season or do you want to win a championship? Okay. Do you want numbers? Do you want Russell Westbrook? Is that who you want? Because if you want Russ, we can have Russ. Never going to win anything. It'll be a highlight reel every now and then. And you're going to give you some exciting highlights, but you don't want to ring. Because
that's why you have to ask yourself, anyone defending him, and I've been a defender, will they win a championship with this team?
No.
And I say no. So then you actually do have to move on from him. I'm coming to that realization because I am a Ben Simmons fan. I love the other stuff that he does. But I'm the same way. I think I was screaming via text to you when he did that drive, turn his back to the basket. And I almost want his teammates to sit down on the floor. Just go like this. No, you shoot the damn ball. Shoot it. That's what I want him to do.
But here's my biggest issue, and we'll end on this because I've said this 100 times about not worrying about shooting. I just want him to score. I want him to finish. That just shows me he doesn't even want to finish. I would love to go back and count, and I guarantee you he misses from less than 3 feet more than any player in the NBA. And you know what that comes from? Being indecisive, not knowing what to do. That's that. Last night, there was a couple times you even heard Al Abdenabi say, all he needs to take, come on, young man, one more dribble. Ben Simmons isn't a young man anymore. Ben Simmons has been in the league for multiple years. If he didn't take the step or the extra dribble 2 years ago, he's not taking it now, and he's not taking it 2 years from now. He's just not doing it.
Well, he's not fundamental too, because when you get in the paint, you got to square yourself to the basket. He does too many sideways cockamamie hook shots instead of squaring yourself into a little bank shot off the glass. Yep. He doesn't even do that, and those right-handed running hook shots drive me crazy.
Hey, look, I'm getting out. Al's telling me to calm down. Hey, I love Al. Al, based on what 14? It's a long season. Listen, Al, I understand.
5 years.
I get it. It's a long season, but this isn't just this season, Al. We watched this for the last 2 years. This is just a continuation of the last. Nothing's changed. Nothing. All of a sudden, are we supposed to think that Sam Cassell is going to be the guardian angel of the Philadelphia 76ers and of Ben Simmons? Is he going to be the Clarence of Jimmy Stewart, of George Bailey, that give him his wings like It's a Wonderful Life? I really don't think so.
Unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
We're in JT Realmuto signing was nice, but we're in Philly hell right now, man. We need something. We need something to happen. This is terrible.
You're right. We
I'm doing a show. How are my Flyers doing? I'm in an area with no TV.
Oh, you got to ask Trevor, our boy Trevor's Watson. He checked in. Trevor says, shout out to Trevor. I know Trevor was on COVID protocol. He did get diagnosed with COVID. Trevor says he's now all clear. Doctors say no more COVID. So awesome. Good for you, brother. There you go. See, when you need a score, there's Trev right there. 3-2. 3 Flyers. Oh, there you go. Bill, what's up, Bill? Bill checking in. We do realize he's still see, here's another Ben Simmons defender. We do realize he's still only 24 years old. Leave him alone. Okay, Bill. Let me tell you something. All I know is you have to look at the big picture, my man. I love you, man. I love you like a brother. We go way back. I respect the hell out of what you do and your knowledge. Just please remember one thing. It isn't just about Ben Simmons. This is about a window of opportunity with your MVP, Joel Embiid. It's about a window of opportunity of a big man in a little man's game that will not last more than 4 more years in his prime. So we can't wait forever to hope that Ben Simmons can get it, because he's definitely not going to get it this year. He's not. So you're willing to wait 1 or 2 more years to hope, and then guess what? You have 1 year left. And I'm sorry, I'm done waiting.
Yeah, he's trash. Goodbye. Get out. Next.
Ben, get out. I said, Ben, get out.
Get out.
Ben is looking more and more like Draymond Green. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Draymond at least try to shoot the ball.
And it's
so tired of it. Just tired of it. You know what, man? Maybe it's karma. You tanked all those games.
Yeah.
You tanked all those games. You know what?
It could be, man.
Maybe it is. But I feel like just moving on from that guy.
Yeah. Well, listen, man. Guys, we're going to end on that. I'm done. Listen.
On a high note.
Go ahead.
On a high note, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on a high note, which I will say is, we got a lot of things cooking here. Heat Ratio Sports Network, Twitter account is back. That's a crazy story. I'll get into that next week. Create a new one, and all of a sudden that just nutty story. All I know is at Heat Ratio Sports, check us out. Growing. We got a ton of followers just today. Got a great, tremendous lineup of 10 to 12 guys, really kicking ass, man, doing a lot of things. If you're interested in joining us, hit me up. Let me know. Looking for digital content creators when possible. Doing some things with our podcast. A lot of good things coming up. We got Fairway to Heaven. Second episode was on Monday night. Great name. Love it. Tuesday night, HRS Live, called Heat Ratio Sports Live. Wednesday night, Fantasy Firebox. Thursday, Flyer and Ice, hosted with my man Dan Green and our boy Vance. Friday night, our Jamar checking in, the NCAA College Flashpoint, talking about all things college. And Jamar, even check Jamar. I had a little neat show he had on his own network about a date night, which was pretty cool. Date night during COVID. Him and his wife. It's pretty neat. Jamar does a lot of cool things, man. Check him out. Saturdays is still open, so if any of you baseball fans listening out there, if anybody wants to run a baseball show, let me know. We will give you the platform, hook it up, and get you live. And then Sunday, as always, Half Court Heat, me, Andre L, talking all things Sixers and NBA. So, boys, it's been great. Thank you for this. I needed it tremendously needed it, I should say.
Hey, Tone, can I drop a tease real fast?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
On Thursday's show, we have a guest who is a Stanley Cup champion. He's got his name on the cup. He'll be on our show Thursday.
Oh, see, that's
pretty amazing.
About. That's what I'm talking. See what we do here, man. That's what I'm talking about. And again, we bring you as much content as possibly imaginable. So do us a favor, subscribe to that YouTube page, give us a review on the podcast, give us a follow, hit us up. But most importantly, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch you next week.